This is Racelets IndyCar podcast. I am Fred.
I'm Sydney.
And on tonight's show, we will discuss everything about the Thermal Club Grand Prix from Thermal Club in the Coachella Valley of Southern California. Well, Sid, we were there all weekend. So much to unpack. What a weekend.
Yeah, it was so awesome. There's so much that happened in the span of just 3 short days.
3 short but very hot days.
Yes, extremely hot, but extremely exciting.
Exciting indeed. And what a way to cool off on a Sunday afternoon than getting a champagne shower by the back-to-back defending NTT IndyCar champion and now back-to-back race winner to start the 2025 season, Alex Palou.
Yeah, we haven't seen that in IndyCar in like 5 years. But what can I say? That man just knows how to win races.
He sure does. We've got a really cool interview that we did with Alex following the race on Sunday, which we will try to get to you in just a little while. But Sydney, let's go back to start the weekend. We arrived at Thermal at 7 a.m. on Friday. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, having only ever been to Long Beach, it was really cool to see this huge track in the middle of nowhere with airplanes flying over every day, hot air balloons every morning.
Yeah, that track was ways out there in the middle of the desert, but what a cool facility it was. A private community owned by car club members. Last year's race at Thermal Club was $1 million challenge. This weekend's race was an actual points race, 65 lap race event.
My biggest question was how the tires were going to hold up during the 65 lap race in the 90-degree heat. Using Pato's quotes, the track is like a cheese grater.
Yeah, just tearing up rubber. The track hasn't been repaved or resurfaced in quite a while. It was pretty hard, and those tires were getting torn up as we saw on the race and ultimately how the race had ended. Even before uh, going down to Thermal for the weekend, Sydney, you were hard at work making your racelets, weren't you?
Yeah, once the driver liveries had been released, we were hard at work making sure we completed every bracelet for every driver before we headed off that weekend.
Yes, that was a cool experience. Every driver got their racelet hand delivered during Saturday's autograph session. What a cool moment it was, giving them to each driver, having the drivers wear them proudly. Who was your favorite of all of them?
My favorite would probably be Scotty Mack, just because we gave him his on Fridays actually, but throughout the whole weekend he was wearing them without even being asked, which was really cool to see him supporting us.
Oh, yeah, even Sunday evening as he's heading out of Thermal Club, he had both bracelets on his wrists. Really cool, too, if you did watch the broadcast on Fox, the Fox announcers had some made as well, didn't you, Sid?
Yeah, we made them for all the announcers, and they were all wearing them while they were.
Yeah,
Cool.
Will and T-Bell were very excited. Kevin Lee, you can see down in the pits, he was wearing his on race day as well. Really cool experience. And that's how we started this whole gig, was making these racelets for the drivers. And the passion has grown. We will be doing the same thing in Long Beach in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah, so our one main goal going into Thermal was to get some interviews from drivers. And so starting bright and early Friday morning, we were walking down the paddock and we see Marcus Erickson in Andretti's garage, so we asked him some questions. Your favorite song to get pumped up before a race?
Kickstart My Heart by The Crew.
Okay, one more. If you could have anyone as your spotter, who would it be?
I would say Lewis Hamilton. Okay, I got one for you. Last year's race was unordinary from a regular IndyCar race, right? With the heat races and then the timed race at the finals. Any preparation different going into this weekend? Yeah, I think the tires is going to be a big factor with the heat this weekend and also the race, being a long race, multiple pit stops, the different compounds. We didn't have that last time. So I think tires, a lot of drivers are going to talk about tires and teams as well. So that's going to be the key, I think, come Sunday.
Absolutely. And qualifying, obviously, going to have a big importance as well.
Yeah, I think track position is always important, especially now when IndyCar is so competitive with so many good cars and teams out there. But I still think that, even after qualifying, you're going to see guys go up through the field if they have a good car on race day, because if you've gone through those tires, even how fast you are, if you don't have tires underneath you, you're just going to tumble back. So it's going to be an interesting race, I think.
Awesome. Best of luck this weekend.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, that was Marcus Erickson giving us a couple of answers to some questions in the morning. Really cool experience to start the day. Just further on down the paddock, we ran into someone else.
Ready? What's your favorite song to get you pumped before a race?
Ooh, I don't listen to anything before a race, but what have I been listening to lately? I was listening to Perfect Melody by Jonas Blue. Yeah.
Okay. If you could have anyone as your spotter, who would it be?
As my spotter.
Spotter.
My current spotter is great. Yeah.
I love that. And then, what's the most embarrassing thing that's happened to you before a race? Or during a race?
During a race.
During a race.
I mean, it's probably like what I feel most embarrassing about. Probably like doing a stupid mistake, like spinning or just having a hiccup like that.
Serious question.
Last year's race completely different than what we're gonna have this weekend. What's the mindset going forward? We all know tire degradation is going to be key. Yeah. I think the podium should be drivers and strategists because I think you'll be thanking them after you have a good result, or you'll be hammering on them if you have a bad one.
Awesome. Thank you, Pato. We'll see you this afternoon. Thank you.
That was the one and only, the Duck himself, the second place finisher of this weekend's race, Pato Award.
Yeah, Pato, what a great guy. A lot of fun with him all weekend. Really cool guy. Wears his heart on his sleeve. Such a gentleman. What an open heart. Always has a smile on his face. It was a tough ending to the race on Sunday. We were watching it from the Aero number 5 pit box with about 15 laps left when he had led pretty much the entire race up until that point when he was passed by Alex, and history was made from then.
Yeah, it was so sad. You just feel that the energy had changed after Alex had passed him. Pit crew guys have worked so hard on those fast pit stops, and then
Everything, put into it just went away. Wrong tire strategy is really what it came down to. Second place finish, still good for Pato. Christian Lundgaard finished third. Still a great weekend for Aero overall. Practice Friday left a lot to be desired. Pretty much starting with the fire on the number 83 Robert Schwartzman's Prema car.
yeah, what a crazy thing that had happened to him. What I loved to hear was that he was out working with his crew, trying to fix the car himself.
Yeah, the crew itself was there till about 4 a.m. Saturday morning, trying to tear apart that car, find out what the issue was, and get it fixed. Robert was there till about midnight, working on the car with the crew. Tough start to the season for him, having the limited practice runs at St. Pete, and then you start this week in the same way. Luckily, they were able to get his car back out there, but that would have not been till qualifying on Saturday.
Also, practice 1 Friday, Joseph Newgarden's team had some
Transponder issues. Yeah, we're told that those issues were actually on the IndyCar side and not a Penske issue. So Joseph was unable to get many laps down. Scott McLaughlin also not many laps down. The dust ups up there caused a couple of yellows to come out during practice. So Friday was up in the air. Obviously, Alex, fastest on track. Here's a little interview we did with Alex just before practice on Friday.
Okay, what would you recommend to someone wanting to join?
Patience, a little bit of luck. I know it's not a recommendation, but you need that.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, it's I think it's a sport that you need to love. It's not easy. It's hard as all the sports.
Yeah.
But just patience.
Okay. What's the most unusual thing you've used as a lucky charm?
When I was in go-karts as a young kid, I always, like on race day, I always use the same underwear. Obviously, I was washing it and so on, but it was always the same pair. And then one race I forgot, it still went really well. So then I was like, okay, it's not the underwear.
Okay, my question, being a father as well,
How has that changed your mindset when you're behind the wheel of the car now? Any effect?
Not really. Like, not behind the wheel. At the end of the day, when I'm behind the wheel, it's just same things. Yeah, maybe on preparation. Yeah, like my days used to be like all free for me, and I could do whatever I wanted. Now I need to take care of her, and I have less hours for me to prepare. So yeah, I just focus more on those hours and try and be a little bit more productive.
Love it. Anything you're trying to do differently this weekend as opposed to last year?
I mean, last year was different kind of racing with the heats. With 65 laps, now it's going to be a lot tougher, and also with 2 to 3 pit stops. So we will see. Hopefully we can win.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What can I say? This guy's a legend in the making.
Oh yeah, he is up there as far as one of the greatest IndyCar drivers I could think of recently. But his success rate, back-to-back champions, and winning the championship 3 of the last 4 years. Now starting the season with back-to-back wins, a feat like you mentioned, Sid, hadn't been done in 5 years. He's got a 39-point lead over Pato 2 races into the season. That's incredible. If he can continue at this rate, he's going to lock up the championship with about 3 races left.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you think about it, Alex has never finished worse than fifth at Long Beach, so this can store up a lot.
Yeah, I think it can get pretty bad for the rest of the competition in the field if he finishes with a podium or another top 5. Imagine if he wins.
Yeah, and you can tell the frustration starting to come in to the rest of the drivers.
Yeah, their goal now is to beat Alex. It's incredible. Penske has not done anything so far to even challenge. Arrow's done a great job to start the season, but you really need to start beating this guy if you're going to have any kind of a shot long term.
And here's one more interview with David Malukas from after practice on Friday.
Sure.
Okay. How did your passion for driving start?
Oh boy, my passion for driving. The Cars movie, it really just did something to me.
Oh, I saw that video.
Yeah, no, but no, I mean, of course, yeah, Cars movie, but, my parents were honestly my biggest motivation to start. I mean, I started when I was 6, 7 years old, so at that time I was playing with Hot Wheels and still picking my nose, so I didn't really know what I wanted to do yet, but big influence from my family.
Yeah. Okay. If you could have anyone as your teammate, who would it be and why? Like anyone.
Anyone? Well, I
fictional.
already have a teammate. Santino Ferrucci is my teammate. I can't.
Like another one.
Another teammate. Anybody?
Anybody.
Honestly, right now it'd probably be Max Verstappen. I want to see his data because he's kind of been on it. He's been really, really good.
Yeah. Okay. Last one. Make me laugh.
Make you laugh?
He did by saying picking his nose and playing with Hot Wheels.
So like.
Okay, there you go.
Real quick. Okay. So great performance last week, or last race at St. Pete. What are we building on coming in this weekend? It's going to be brutally hot.
Tires
are going to suck.
It's going to be really, really hot. Yeah, it's already hot, and it's not even like race day. I think it's like 90 degrees, so it'll be tough. But yeah, St. Pete, a lot of good things to take out of it. Obviously, a new team, a lot of new stuff that we need to build on, learning the lingo, building that chemistry. So we've worked on a lot of sim training going into thermal. So there's a lot of good stuff. We just need to be consistent, kind of get all this stuff down. We finally got the rustiness out of the way. So I think it's going to be a good rest of the season for us.
Thank you.
Love to see you driving.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Awesome interview, Sydney. I love how you asked these drivers questions that really opened up their personalities, and you can just see how awesome these guys are.
Yeah, this really shows what they're like when they're not behind the wheel and just how humble each and every one of them are.
Yeah, I don't see this in any other professional sports athlete than what you get with IndyCar drivers. Awesome people. Now let's move on to Saturday, which was qualifying. Interesting day again. Saturday, who got the pole, Sissy?
Pato.
Yep, Pato. We were down at the other end of the pits. Pato was currently in, I think, P12 in the second session. We're walking back towards the Arrow pits and found out he ended up finishing in second. He put together an awesome run on that last lap, and what a great way to start for Pato, picking up that extra point with the P1 and then he had all the momentum going into the race, right?
Yeah, Arrow had a front row lockout, 1-2 with Pato and Christian Lundgaard.
Yep, Alex Palou finished third. Some other top notables again, like Colton Herta finishing P4.
Yeah, and what about Alexander Rossi starting P6?
Awesome job by Ed Carpenter Racing there. You had Marcus Armstrong and Felix Rosenquist. Again, two Meyer Shanks in the top 10 of the starting position. And the number 10 driver to start on the grid was Louis Foster. Incredible.
Yeah, what a great job by Arlo. So that brings us to Sunday race day at Thermal.
Yeah, hot temperatures. First race in quite some time that all 65 laps were green. No yellows at all. The race pretty much went as scripted for the most part. Pato led 51 laps of that race before he was overtaken by Alex Palou, who went on to win.
That's not necessarily true. The biggest red flag was probably Fox losing broadcasts mid-race.
Yeah, I got a phone call. We were, again, watching the race from the aero pits, and I get a phone call from my brother saying, I just turned the race off. They just switched to NASCAR. And I was like, what the, you know? And I guess from laps 28 to 40, technical difficulties, quote unquote, led to everybody losing communication. We were also hearing that the radio feed had lost their communications as well. Apparently a trip breaker, they're saying. I don't know if it was from the heat. It was in the 90s. But the Indy broadcast was still able to do their show following the tracker from the home base in Indianapolis. So not a very good look for Fox. Second race in his season. But they got to overcome that. Cannot have anything negative happen at Long Beach. That's for damn sure. Biggest mover of the race was Will Power, moving up 16 spots. Qualified 22nd and ended up in 6th. Great job by Will. Anybody who surprised you, Sid?
Not really much that surprised me, but Graham Rahal had a really decent race, finished P11.
Yeah, he really did. Nice job by Graham. He's always out there driving as hard as he can for Team RLL. Colton Herta, who started 4th, finished 4th, now sits 8th in the championship after 2 races. Lots of drama I didn't know about until afterward, watching some highlight clips. Even before the race had gone green, going into turn 16 or 17, I believe it was, we had a little altercation, didn't we?
Yeah, between Scott McLaughlin and Devlin DeFrancesco.
Yeah. If you haven't heard that audio yet, I encourage you to listen to that. Some good F-bombs being dropped. That's what we love to see in IndyCar. We're 2 races into the season, and not only do you have drama on the track, but you have off the track as well. That's why this is the best sport in the world. According to Scotty, and Devlin was served a penalty for this. He had closed him off. Is that?
Yeah, you wouldn't let Scotty line up with him, and so they touched, and he ended up spinning out, and that was pretty much the end of the race for Scotty.
Right. So too bad for Scott McLaughlin. Finishes last this week. He'll get it back. He's such a great guy, great spirits. We had a nice little conversation Sunday evening.
And even after his crappy race, he was still supporting our bracelets, which was awesome.
Yeah, wearing that Thirsty 3 black and white and yellow bracelet that you had made him. Awesome job, Sid. They love those kind of things. Those drivers really do. You also made a trophy for Kyle Kirkwood. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, the good old thumbs up. Will Power has his double bird, and Kirkwood has his thumbs up.
Yeah, so we gave Kyle the thumbs up trophy. Said, hey, you present this to whoever you want after any race, anybody that you feel is deserving of so. And I think we all know who is the recipient after this weekend, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. He's the little guy on track. He's got the lifted tires to make him look taller when he's on his scooter. And that's Devlin DeFrancesco, right?
Yep.
So Alex Palou goes on, wins the Thermal GP. He won it last year with $1 million at stake. He wins it again in a points championship race this season. Sydney, how do you beat this guy?
Well, the cars are practically the same, so this really comes down to your strategy as a team.
Yeah, and right now Barry Wanzer and Chip Ganassi are working marvels with that number 10 car. Um, we'll see. Time will tell. Long Beach a couple of weeks away.
So after we got sprayed with Alex's champagne, we caught up with him post-race, and here's what he had to say.
IndyCar podcast. Thank you so much, Alex. Congratulations on your win. You've been so accommodating all weekend. We ran into Friday morning bright and early. You were answering questions from my daughter, who's a huge fan of yours. A couple of things that we noticed. You're talking about fans here at Thermal Club. It doesn't feel like a normal IndyCar race without fans, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what makes probably this series so special. It's the fans, it's the people that are crazy enough to follow us throughout the states, and they come every single weekend. And yeah, I think that's the energy that you miss a little bit. So, as I said, I think it's great that we're here. I think this is the best that we could have done. Um, and at least we got a little bit more fans this year. But yeah, would have been nice to have all the fans, right? Like we normally have.
Going back to the podium, it was pretty ironic because you had the most elation on your face in the celebration, and Pato with the biggest dejection on his face. When you're tracking him down on the track like that, what's going through your head?
Normally it's a really nice feeling when you know you're gonna be able to chase him down. I normally prefer to be at the front, obviously, because you never know what could happen. We were in a tough situation when we were like 8 or 9 seconds back, so I had to push my tires to get to him and then pass him and have enough tires. And I was a bit worried of if I was gonna have enough time to make it happen, enough tires to make it happen. And luckily, we were able to make it happen. So at that moment, it felt amazing because I could see that we were gonna get to him and that I was gonna have a chance to fight. So I was just smelling the opportunity, and I was just getting excited and excited.
Oh, it's like a shark smelling blood in the water, isn't it?
It is because I think you get an extra tenth or so just by seeing how fast you are and how strong you are compared to your competitor, and you know you're gonna have a chance for the win, which is what I love the most, to give my team a little bit of fuel in a trophy case, and it was great.
That's awesome. We were saying Pato almost got that monkey off his back, but he couldn't get rid of the gorilla that's on it.
That's cool. Yeah, honestly, I mean, the last time we battled, I think was Mid Ohio last year, and he actually won it. I did the pole. I led for the most part of the race, and at the end, he got me. It was on tires as well, but it was the opposite. So we had to give them back or take back what they got from us last year. So yeah, it's cool that it's so competitive, and it's cool that it's you never know who's gonna win. You never until 12 laps to go, nobody knew if we were gonna win or not. So it's great.
Awesome, Alex. Thank you so much. It's great being in the presence of greatness, and we love watching you race every weekend. This is something that's unprecedented that we've seen the dominance that you've provided, and continue doing what you're doing. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
To go back to the fans, Thermal felt really empty, with only like 1,000 or so fans there, whereas to Long Beach you have at least 100,000 fans.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with the price of the tickets for the event. I think they were looking somewhere to get maybe 5,000 fans in attendance. I doubt that there were that many here. I know the ratings had dropped as well as far as TV coverage. Um, but Thermal is a private car club, and the tickets for the event for the VIP were $1,500 for the 3 day session, and $500 a piece basically for general admission for the 3 days. That's a lot of money, especially if you were looking to take your family. If if you live in Southern California or if you're just a big IndyCar fan who attends the races, that was a lot of money to put down on the race. But regardless of the fact, it was an awesome weekend. Alex Palou, dominant as ever. Um, we'll see what happens as we go to Long Beach in a couple of weeks. Some really cool takeaways from this weekend, Sydney. Um, we had a lot of really cool interactions with
Yeah.
some personnel in the industry in IndyCar Radio. Let's start with Jake Query. Thank you, Jake, from IndyCar Radio. Had some really great information to give to you, Sid, in terms of how to build a career. You're a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
Um, what did you learn from Jake in terms of what he explained?
I learned that like once I graduate, I really need to focus on myself and getting me to where I want to go and not worrying so much about if my friends are doing bad things or so much higher than me already, which was really awesome.
Yeah, he really put it into perspective. And to touch on that, the women in this industry, um, to be a woman in this industry is a pretty cool thing, and it's continuing to grow amongst IndyCar. You see a lot of the teams now with women on their crew and the PR departments, and I think a lot of good things can come of that. An awesome meetup opportunity that you got together with some of the people you've known off of social media, correct?
Yes, thank you to Off You on Track for hosting this meetup, even though you weren't there. Really appreciated it. I was really able to meet a lot of amazing women.
Yeah, it was really cool to see all these women that go to the races. They communicate and talk to each other. They exchange bracelets. That is really what this all comes down to: is bringing the community together and getting everybody involved. Big shout out to Business Time, Greg Dixon and his mother. Great seeing you guys there. You guys are awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed the bracelet that Sydney had made you. We knew we were going to see you guys there. We look forward to seeing you again in Long Beach. Also, Will Buxton, what a guy. We had a nice talk with him. Asked him how he's transitioning into IndyCar, and he was very thorough in his explanation. We talked a little bit about Prema and what they're trying to do this season, and a really lot of good takeaways. Said anything else that really stood out to you?
Thank you to DJ Clark and Jonathan Grace for being so kind with us this weekend as well and giving us some more advice.
Yeah, they were great. We had some good conversations as the race went on in the pit area, bounced some stuff off of each other. Some great advice going forward to anybody who's looking to uh, be an IndyCar fan, who's looking to get into social media, who's looking to get into radio or television media as well. Um, really great takeaways. Awesome weekend. Now we're applying the aloe after the sunburns we've got. Our feet are sore. We've got blisters. But an awesome weekend at Thermal. Thank you to Tom Blattler for allowing us access into the media area. Um, what an experience we had being down there at Thermal. An awesome race. Can't wait to look forward to Long Beach. That's my home race. This will be the 30th year I have gone. So my 30th anniversary. I went when I was 15. That shows you how old I am. And Sydney, I think this is going to be what, your sixth or seventh, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. And I can't wait for this race because this was the race that really sparked my passion for IndyCar. And now that's what I want to do in the future.
Yeah, great endeavors. Your future is bright, Sissy. Thank you guys for joining us on episode 3 of Racelets IndyCar podcast. We will do another one right after Long Beach. Take care. Have a great night.